are listening to Happy Hour Hustle, a bi-weekly podcast featuring the musings and witty remarks of the one and only Kim Bodie. We can promise at least 2 terrible jokes out of Kim and at least 10 minutes of incredible thought leadership from some amazing and influential guests. So grab a glass of iced red wine and join us for a wild ride. Here's Kim.
Oh man, it's another episode of Happy Hour Hustle, everyone. And we're so excited to be here. We're all in the office. We're actually talking about pronunciation right now. So we're in a hot debate on how you pronounce Ottoman.
Mm-hmm. Or Ottoman. Yep.
So Ottoman, but then also I say milk, which nobody needs to come at me after this. I realize that it's incorrect.
You just said it right. You said it milk.
Milk.
Yeah.
That's right?
Yeah.
That's right. No, people say milk.
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 Yeah.
Milk.
Or milk.
Milk. What did I say? Now I don't even know
you
how
said
I...
milk.
Yeah, milk.
Like you're supposed to.
Oh, so I said it right.
Yeah.
So now you can't come after me. Okay, so how do you pronounce Ottoman?
Ottoman.
Okay.
Ottoman.
Bree?
No, you're cheating.
No,
You
I don't
heard us say
remember.
it.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Ottoman.
You said Ottoman.
Ottoman.
Yeah, Ottoman.
Like
And then what were you comparing it to? Caught?
Caught and cot. So like if you sleep in a cot and like I caught the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sleep in a cot.
Basically, the American language is just dumb regardless, so it makes zero sense, but here we are. So we're talking digital and PR today because they are not exclusive and they should not be exclusive, and a lot of our clients seem to think one or the other is like a magic wand, magic bullet, however that saying goes. I'm going to mess it up anyway. So we're actually talking with, our pretty talented team here and a host of dogs that have joined us on digital and PR and why they need to be besties, BFFs, if you will. Is that what the kids are saying these days?
Yeah, it's all
Yep.
in the texting lingo. LOL,
BFF.
BFFFL.
Faux L. Like you gotta do like the 4.
Whoever says best friend forever, that's what BFF stands for,
Yeah.
right? That's so dumb.
I mean, you did when you were like 8, and you're like, I'm gonna know you for my whole life, and then you forgot their name.
And I carved your name into a tree.
Yeah.
Oh wait, nobody else did that? Weird. Okay, so before we get into digital and PR being besties, let's talk about how you met your best friend. Or nowadays, everyone has like a million. So,
I know, it's
yeah.
funny. Most of mine came from school though. Like I still have a couple best friends from high school, and then I have a couple from college.
I can honestly say I have 0 from high school.
Really?
But I was in a very conservative town, and I mean, that's not really how I turned out, so.
You're saying you don't have anything in common with them anymore?
Yeah, that would be what I'm saying. Yes, absolutely. So, but my best friend, Sue, owns a company, Jetco Federal, and I met her husband. It was when I was president of the American Marketing Association. It had to have been like 15 plus years ago. He showed up at an event, and like he was always just kind of hanging around, and I like John, but he's awkward like me, so that's probably why I like him. And then which I never understood why he was at a marketing thing when he he did government contracting. None of it made sense to me, but anyway, he was there, and he would always strike up a conversation with me. And then one time he brought Sue. And I think they had just gotten married or whatever. I don't know. No, they weren't married yet. So please stop chewing on my arm, Joey. I met her, and then
Joey's the dog.
Yeah, Joey's the dog, or like our newest employee. Very weird manners. Anyways, but then we ditched John, and we've been best friends ever since. So yeah, he's no longer part of the group. So
Hope you're not listening.
he didn't really bring anything to the table.
Poor John.
Yeah, if John turns into this podcast.
I'm sure he's going to be listening to this. His attention span is like -5 seconds. So, all right, Ro, how did you meet your best friend?
This turned into dragging John.
I know. It's fun.
Well, I'll be sappy and say my best friend is my spouse, but I've already talked about how I met Lane on here. So I'll talk about my best man, Neil. I met him because I was at like one of the lame comic book events that I go to. And
first of all, they are not lame. Do not call them lame.
Okay.
They're cool.
They used to not be like. Anyway,
Have they gotten cooler?
I mean, like they've gotten more like I guess normalized. Like people know what Comic-Con is now, but like when I started, everybody was like, "That's what the nerds do." Kind of like how Dungeons and Dragons is popular now.
Well,
but
we're
like,
making nerd cool. So
heck yeah.
Yeah, you were cool before anyone else was.
I didn't mean to come across like I was
I
cool
meant
before
that
us.
as a serious. I'm not being sarcastic.
We're
I
watching
swear.
a friendship blossom now,
We
live
are.
on air.
No, I met my friend Neil because we were both at this event, and I stopped into a gas station to like grab something, and on the way out, I hit him with the door, and then I apologized profusely, and now he's my best man. So
Aw,
I like it.
That's cute.
yeah, I knocked him
Oh, I
over.
will. I have to go. I have to say that also Drew is my best man, and I met him when I worked for Wimpsty, and he would show up to events and also awkwardly stand there, and then we became friends because we're both awkward, and yeah, and now he's a client. So
Yay.
Full circle.
yeah, full circle. All right, Bree, how'd you meet your current best friend?
High school. Well, my one friend Fong, I met her in high school. We've been friends since like
Fun?
Phong, Phong.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Fong.
It's better than fawn. It was like fawn. Your best friend's a deer?
Yes. I grew up in the woods.
Amidst the woodland creatures.
I mean, honestly, I believe it. You're
Yeah,
pretty much
so
a Disney
would I.
princess.
Yeah, so would I.
All I do is sing out my window.
Yeah, and they're not really your friends. They're just like, what is that noise? So,
Yes, I met her in high school. Well, actually, elementary school. We went to elementary school. We're still best friends. We went to daycare together, went to kindergarten together. So we have tons of really embarrassing photos together. It's great.
Yes.
And then one of my other best friends from college, I met her. Her story is actually weird. She's a very different personality than me, and we actually hated each other from the very first day that we met each other. I went to a volleyball camp, and she was also at this volleyball camp, and I was commuting because it was at Elma, and I'm from Mount Pleasant. And so, like, in between the sessions, like, everyone would go back to their dorms and, like, hang out, and I would just, like, hang out in the lobby with, like, the other friend that I went with that was commuting. And this girl, I'm trying to take a nap. It's like the third day. She comes downstairs and is screaming and being so obnoxiously loud, and I'm already really irritated because I'm tired. And I was like, I went home and I was like, Mom, you would not believe what this girl did. She was so annoying. And then I realized that we were both going to Elma to like play, and I saw her and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I was like, Mom, I have 4 years with this girl. And then we ended up becoming best friends.
did you tell her that she was annoying?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, good,
We
good.
she knew. I was like, I do not like you.
Do you think playing volleyball together helps?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, we talk about it all the time. Like, I don't know if we would have necessarily been good friends if we wouldn't have had to have met each other again. But because volleyball forced us to be together for like 24 hours a day for 4 years, it was kind of like
You didn't
forced
have a
best
choice.
friends. And then she lived with me for like
Yeah.
2 years afterwards. So, I mean, very close.
Where is she now?
She is a nurse. She's a nurse in Mount Pleasant, actually. So, well, she lives in Mount Pleasant. She's actually a nurse in Elma, but she works on the rehab floor, and she's trying to get into the labor delivery floor.
Oh.
Yeah.
Awesome.
See
She's
a lot
just
of vaginas.
a very but like she's like one of those people that just does not care. Like she will scream. She like
Would you
she
ever think
screams vagina from the top of the hill.
Right. Would you ever think it's weird, like, if, so my sister-in-law is a PA and she works in, come on, Ro, give me the word.
I got
Obstetrician.
yeah, but what's
Ophthalmology.
No, that's your eyes.
Optometry.
Yeah. No, also not helping. Stop talking.
like an obgyn.
No, like, what's the gyno area?
OBGYN.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what is it said out loud? Like, what is the
Gynecologist.
Rick's googling it.
yeah. It's, no.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but that's not what the field is called.
I have no idea.
I mean, there's gynecology, but it's
I'm sorry.
OBSETR something. Anyway, please figure this out.
Obstetrician? Is that a thing? Let me
Yeah.
see it. Let me see it.
Yeah.
Was I right?
Yeah.
I feel like
Come on.
obstetrician was said.
Obstetrician?
Yeah.
See?
It's obstetrics and gynecology. So obstetrician. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Cut all
I just
that
want
out.
everyone to know that that's the word I was trying to say that none of us could say. But either way,
Obstetrics?
it's probably why people just say gyno or vagina. But I always think it's weird because I go to the office that she works out of. Of course, I don't see her because wouldn't that be weird for like your sister-in-law or say your best friend to be the ones giving you a pap smear? I think that's weird.
My friend though. Oh, sorry. Go Rose. Go.
No, one of my sister's friends in high school, his dad was a gynecologist, and like they were super, super active in the choir department, but he was the choir director's gynecologist. So like, how weird is that? Like, you
That's
can't,
super
and like
weird.
a bunch of the other parents too went there because like they knew him. So like, anyway, it's
I
weird,
don't know.
right?
Doesn't it? I was like, like, I mean, I'll ask her about things, but I'm never like, hey, could you just take a quick look?
Yeah, just
I'm gonna come over and sit on your kitchen table. Let's like get this rolling.
But this friend, she is adamant. She's like, if I do not deliver your baby, like we will not be friends. And I'm like, Katie, I don't know.
I don't
She's
really
like,
want you stitching
no,
that up.
it's happening. We'll
Yeah. Yeah. So no, I don't. Yeah. Well, that was my question. So, well, now that we've talked about best friends, I guess we could talk about digital and PR. Well, we talked about best friends and vaginas, and we're really covering a range of topics here.
Took a turn.
Okay.
It's just a normal day at 8:34.
So it is, but we're gonna tie it back to digital. Actually, we're not, like, because we're not gonna tie a vagina. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so I do digital and PR. Let's pulling it back in here, people.
Good segue.
Yep, great segue. So a lot of people think, and Bria will back me up on this. A lot of people think PR, public relations, is a press release.
Yes.
That's all it is, or in
A
some
statement.
cases, just a statement. So I'm here to dispel that myth. If the 14,000 blogs that we've written on it haven't done that yet, public relations is all about managing your reputation and the public's perception of your company or you as an individual. To do that, it is not done through a press release. So if you have big news announcing something and you want to get it out, then absolutely a press release is a great way to do that. But a press release is the very minimum of what you should be doing. There's a whole strategy that goes behind it. There's a whole, grooming people to be able to speak to the media. How are you presenting yourself over social media? How are you utilizing social media to build to build relationships with, the media? So there's a whole host of other things that go along with it, and a big part of that is tied back to digital now. People used to fax press releases. They no longer do that. So it's a good thing that industries change and we evolve in how we do things. So that's one of the big things we want to talk about is how important digital is to PR and how important PR is to digital. Because really, for public relations to be successful, it's not just a quick story that you get out there. We worked 10 months on a piece that we got in People magazine. 10 months, people. If you're just gonna post that once on your social, then what am I even doing here?
10 months was not worth it.
Right, because really, that's all you're gonna do with it. So, a big thing that when we pass along reports to clients or we talk about earned media is we always tie it back the digital aspect. Do you want to talk a little bit about what we report on specifically? Yeah. And then I want Ro to kind of chime in and what that looks like, when you're looking at those analytics and on the back end.
Yeah, Ro definitely knows all about the analytics. I have to ask them questions all the time because the wording is so confusing.
It is.
And especially when you're trying to relate it back to clients and people that are not as familiar with the space, it's a lot harder. But basically, we're always reporting on how many people have the potential to see this
Yep.
piece of earned media. So when we send it over, we always send over the monthly impressions. So on a website, that would be how many people are coming to look at it. Maybe those are go Ro.
You're close. We had like a 15-minute discussion about this the other day because Bree's right. Like, digital terms are weirdly confusing for no reason.
Super confusing.
Like, reach is the amount of people that see something.
Yes.
Impressions are the amount of time those people see something. So you could have like monthly impressions worth of something. Maybe you have 5,000 monthly impressions, but you only have a 1,000 monthly reach. That means 1,000 people are on average viewing it 5,000 times. So trying to put that into terms that
a client understands
Yeah.
is hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Also on that, when we are sharing them on social media, so a lot of times a certain publication will post the article and then they'll also post it on their own social media. So we have to track how many followers that social media platform has and then how many
What the
times maybe that
engagement is,
link
yep.
is going to be shared. So there's all these different analytics that come with that. But then also if the client can share it on their own social media, there's
Yeah.
a whole nother slew of networks that are seeing that post. So all of the PR efforts that we do don't really mean anything without using these numbers, because it's
Right.
like, yay, we got this piece for earned media, but what now? Like,
What does that
happens
mean?
with it? What does that mean? How
Well,
many
it ties
people
back to
saw it?
digital, email marketing, social media, website traffic. Like another thing you should be doing is if you get a piece of earned media, like Bria was saying, you should be sharing that through your networks. You also should be sending that out in an email. Like letting people know that a story has been written on you or whatever. And you should also be, if you can, tying that back into your website. So talk a little bit. So we obviously talked a little bit about what PR is. Digital is a huge. Talk a little bit about because I think when people think digital, I think sometimes they're just like, yeah, Google Ads. Maybe talk a little bit about how it's so much more than that. Like PR is more than a statement or a press release.
Digital. Rick's over here recording and laughing because Rick is also on the digital team here. Digital is so much. It's social media, it's websites, it's emails, it's any sort of digital way that somebody interacts with things. So yeah, it's social ads, yeah, it's Google ads, but it's also literally the entire internet and how you manage that. So there's a little bit of room for that to be applicable in ways. In terms of what we were saying with where you want to cross-post these things is when you have PR or an earned media. Sorry, I'm not a PR person, so I'm going to use the wrong terms, and now it's your turn to correct me. But when you have earned media that's posted on a publications platform, that's metrics that you don't own. So you can have an educated guess of how far that's going to reach. But when you can post it on your own website or on your own social media, you own those metrics, which means you can go and see specifically how many people view this page, how long did they spend on that page, where did they come from? And that's how you can really tie it back into saying hey, we've got an increase of 1,000 users on our website this month, and oh look, 800 of those came from this refer, which it happened to be the place where we posted this article.
Well, and you can cross-correlate too. You can look at okay, so we know that this publication posted it. Everything is online now, so it's not, it's not just a print piece. So if we know that they posted it on this date, then we can go back and we can look at the analytics and see, okay, what was the traffic that came from that source, or did we see a spike, or so on and so forth. So the other thing that's important to know is how digital can actually help you find PR opportunities. Whether that's social monitoring, social listening, or other ways. So talk a little bit about that, because there's been plenty of opportunities we've been able to capitalize on due to digital.
So every reporter has a Twitter nowadays. Every journalist, oh, thank you, Kim. Kim just smacked a fly off my head.
Yeah, I was just hanging out like it was your best friend.
It was very kind. It was kind of alarming to see you walk over to me.
Yeah, it looked like it actually looked like I was going to slap them, but
Yeah, no, every reporter has a Twitter nowadays because it's the fastest moving platform. It's where everything is happening. It's easy to follow stories that way. So I know a lot of times we will engage with reporters that way. We will engage with them and shoot them a story and then link to our clients' Twitters and say, hey, reach out to us here. You can also see we have SharpSpring on our site, so we can see when people are going around looking at things on the site. We found an option for opportunity, I'm not PR, for an article for a client because we found somebody from a major publication that was browsing their site and happened to be on a certain blog, so we reached out to that person. SharpSpring lets us see where visitors go, what pages they visit, what forms they fill out, what emails they send. It's kind of creepy, but
it's amazing. And SharpSpring is marketing automation, so SharpSpring is along the lines of HubSpot, except it's a much more affordable option, and we personally think better, and not just because we are an agency that resells it. Resell. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Whatever. Words are hard today, apparently, and none of us are getting anything right. We're finally together in person. How do you interact with other humans? But being able to tie things back, that means that we can, if we can see that, that was a reporter from a major publication, so we were able to reach out to them, and there was an interview that took place, and then I reached out to several, we represent a resort on the lakeshore, and I reached out to a travel writer over Twitter, and then because we also manage our clients' social media, we also engaged with that same travel writer, and that has actually resulted in this individual now coming and is going to be spending I think 3 or 4 days at this resort, and is then going to write up an article for it. So you have got to think outside the box. And the cool thing about it is PR agencies or firms that know how to utilize digital in their outreach efforts are going to be so much more successful. And PR should feed your digital efforts. You should be pushing things out in the digital space so that it's then resulting in potential leads or opportunities for you as a business. So one of the things that I think is important to talk about too, and crisis communication is something that has been a hot topic around here. As you're seeing a lot of restaurants reopen, you're also seeing those same restaurants having to close because of, instances of COVID, or, a employee or even potentially a customer testing positive. So when people think public relations, and like I said, it's not just a press release, crisis communication is really an integrated effort where you're looking at where is the brand present, where are all the avenues that message goes out, and then how are we going to specifically communicate, what's being, what the issue was, and we call it own it, apologize, fix it. So companies that are transparent and companies that have a plan in place prior to the crisis happening are always going to be more successful. But we had somebody reach out. They had an issue within their establishment, and we said, well, this is, because crisis communication isn't gonna be cheap. I mean, when you're reactive and you've got to turn things around, in a 24 or 48 hours, like that's not something that, it comes at a bargain. You really should have thought ahead and just hired us in the first place, but whatever, it's fine. So when that person then responds and says, well, I just need a statement to get out. Wrong response. First of all, a statement is, again, like a press release, is only a portion of something that you need to do as it relates to your public relation efforts. The first thing you need to do is figure out how you're going to communicate through your website, through your social channels, to the media. Those are different messages, and they're delivered in a different way. Digital is really one of your tools for getting your PR message out there. And if you think it's just a statement and there's no follow-up or no action behind it, then, please don't ever come to us for crisis communication help, because we cannot help you. Just go read our blog, PR Can't Fix Stupid, because it really can't. So people make mistakes, businesses make mistakes, but the only way you get beyond them is really owning it, apologizing, and then when we say fix it, is what's your plan to ensure that this never happens again, or you're taking precautions to make sure that your staff is protected, patrons are protected, so on and so forth. So social media can be a phenomenal tool, and it can also be utilized as a weapon by consumers or your customers. So and I don't know, Ro, if you want to talk a little bit about that and some of the things that it also is a customer service tool, quite frankly, social media. So, but talk a little bit about how digital maybe plays into crisis and why it's so important that that's not something you leave out and just write a statement that you post on your Facebook and hope that works out for you.
The vitriol. Yeah, so there was an article that I saw even today where somebody had only posted, you could tell just on their Facebook, a statement, and that's what was quoted in the article because they didn't have a statement to the media that they could quote instead. So all that the media could write about was what their social post said. So it's important when you do have things happening that they're all there's a shock, it's integrated. So when you send something out to the media and then you also post something on your Facebook and then you also post it on your website and then you also share it on your personals, all of those are slightly different messages, like you were saying. I'm sorry, I'm distracted. Phoebe had hiccups and I was
Oh my God, that's amazing. I've never seen her have hiccups.
Yeah, sorry.
Have hiccups again, Phoebe. Be cute. Do it. Perform.
Sorry, what?
You're on the spot.
Yeah. Yeah, now she's just sleeping. What I was going to say too, if you are pushing a statement out or, you better be ready not sleep for 48 hours because you need to respond to every single one of those comments. You need to interact and you need to do it in a manner that is respectful, that takes ownership, and then, showcases that you are making changes to be better.
Yeah, and to that point, we had a client recently who they were hosting a guest that had some sort of controversy behind them, and they didn't know about it. So it wasn't on their page, but somebody else was posting about it, didn't even tag them. And we had to deal with that and then also have the client deal with that in a proactive way.
Yep.
And then make sure to get that out on social because it started on social. So social media moves so quickly nowadays that if you're not monitoring it constantly, it's very easy to miss opportunities that you would need to make a statement. And then you get caught by people cornering you and saying, what are you going to do about this? Instead of coming prepared with.
And then again, you're reactive, and you can never be as effective when you're reactive versus being proactive. I mean, we found because we manage all of this company as communication. We recognized it. We saw it as a potential issue. We immediately crafted a statement, and then we took action to back that up. And it was solved, and it never became an issue. So when you think, I can't afford to pay that for crisis communication, can you afford for your business to go out of, to close permanently? Can you afford the reputation that you now have in the community that you have to somehow work back from? I mean, at the end of the day, what's most important? Like ensuring that you have future sales or ensuring you save a buck early on?
I think there's this misconception too, because like people think that PR, I mean, as somebody who doesn't do PR mostly, people think that PR is just one of those things that like you only pull out when you have a crisis.
Yep.
But to me, it reminds me a lot of, my dad always says, it's not a mistake unless the audience knows it.
Yep.
And to me, PR is going on constantly in the background, and the only time that you notice it is when a mistake has been made by somebody. So, like, it's not like the acting stops when a mistake is made. Like, things keep going.
Social media is the exact example of that.
Yeah.
Stuff is happening all the time, and if you're not continuously replying to things, or in this other case scenario, they were blocking comments or not replying to them, and that just all of a sudden creates a negative image for you to the public, and then no one's going to come to your business, no one's going to want to support your business, no one's going to speak positively about you, and then you've just created a PR issue for yourself.
Please don't block. Please don't block like accounts. This is just my plea to you. Don't delete comments. Don't block accounts unless they're very obviously just like harassing accounts
or hateful or discriminatory.
It's just going to make things worse because you can block them from your page, but you can't block them from the internet. Like they're just going to rage on their own profile.
And keep in mind, community engagement is also falls under public relations. So as part of crisis communication, we have to look at, okay, this is the community's perception. How are we going to restore their faith in our business, and how do we gain back their trust? What are the steps we have to take? What are the actual real world things we have to do that are not just on our website or social media, or it has to be something that's far reaching into the community, whether that's like setting up a fund, whether that's ensuring you're giving back in some way. Like you have got to put your action where your mouth is. I don't know if I said that right, but just shut up and do. Just shut up and do.
Stupid.
Yeah.
Like they know that if you are saying all of this stuff just to show face, people know when you're lying or when you're not being completely truthful about things, and then once again you're creating issues for yourself.
And my favorite is when they think a good statement is placing the blame on someone else, like maybe your customer or whoever else you can think to blame. Just be quiet then. Just don't say anything.
Also, in the era of social media, there are video evidence, there is audio evidence, there are photos everywhere. Like something will come out, so there's really no point in trying to hide behind something that
be a better person. That's the takeaway from this podcast. Just don't be a dick. So bringing it again back to like the digital component, what are like a couple takeaways, or what is a couple recommendations you would make for people? And then Bri, I want you to, it can be reiterating some of the things we've already said, but start with digital, and then we'll move to PR.
Sure. So when you have things like community engagement pieces or any sorts of plans like that, if you have a website where you're blogging, and if you're not blogging, you should be blogging, that's a perfect place to then talk about it. Like you can write your pitch, if that's the proper term.
Yeah, you did. Good job.
Yay, I'm learning. You can write your pitch and send it to the media, but then you can write a similar story once that's gone live and put it on your blog and then link to that, because you're building external links at that point. And you're also boosting your SEO by blogging about it. The point is, if you're not blogging, please do it.
Well, and I just had this conversation with a client today. Like, they had posted an event on their Facebook. It did not ever make its way to their website. We didn't know about it from a PR perspective. All of those things work together. Integrated communications is a real thing, and you should all be doing it. you have got to make sure that your message goes out through multiple avenues and mediums. Otherwise, your 80-year-old grandma on Facebook's going to be the only one that sees it, and that's not maybe necessarily your audience. So you've got to tie everything together, and that is why integrated communications is the only approach that works.
And if you have a story that goes, unless it's timely, if it's timely, get it out on social, obviously, immediately. If you have an earned media piece that runs that is just talking about your culture, talking about like an ongoing project, like you can continue to share that.
Yep.
That's not a one and done. A lot of people will just share that once and then be like, okay, well, we did it, check that box. But you can always circle back to that. You can share the story and provide an update above it. You can share it on your own stuff. Please share it on your own things. Engaging with your content from your own personal account to your page's account is such a big thing. And you can just, I don't know, it really boosts engagement. It shows people that you actually like are as transparent and are as like legitimate as you say you are. Like, as we said, like it's the age of digital. We can all sniff out a phony in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Yep.
Shows thought leadership for sure.
Yes. So, and use that in your email as well. Like if you're sending out newsletters, point out your earned media and send people to it, and then see how many people clicked on it. Again, you've got the metrics then. Like everything's integrated. Everything goes to. Are you okay?
I don't know. I think I might have poked Joey in the eye. It's fine. Or the
but
nose.
Even to that point, the other day we shared some clients' earned media on our social,
Yeah.
and that created another opportunity.
Yep.
So like it continues to be full circle, like sharing your earned media, having other people share your earned media, having people engage with it, and ends up creating so many more opportunities for
Yep.
you. And if you're continuing to share other people in that space, you're going to be considered a thought leader. You're going to look like someone that would be knowledgeable on the subject, and reporters might even flock to you. It might even be that simple. It's not, but.
No. Well, and also I feel like, there's a lot of magic that happens behind the scenes that people don't necessarily realize as a part of digital or PR. I mean, opportunities don't just fall out of the sky. Some PR agencies will approach it as the client comes to them with what they feel is newsworthy. We don't do that because you don't know us, our client. Like, you honestly, half the things you think are newsworthy are not. So our job is to find the story, is to build the story, and then to get the story out, and that takes time. You heard us say that 10 months for a People article. Like, was that article well worth it? Yeah, it was amazing. We did another one that was in health, and that took probably 6 or 7 months. Like, they're depending on national, local, statewide, it just takes time, and it takes time for us to master the voice of our client, and then to build that content, and then, also advise on how it can be used and how, it can be best serve them. So
And speaking of time too, especially considering this week, it's also a matter of like people might think that something should go out right now, but
Yeah.
like it's almost the 4th of July.
yeah,
Like
nobody cares right
nobody's
now.
covering that. So even on social, like we have ads that we are pausing over the 4th of July because nobody's gonna be looking for that content. Like
They're only going to be bitching about fireworks, so
Yeah, how
that's
loud
all
they
anybody's
are
going to care about, and how their dog is scared, or their kid is scared, or their nighttime routine has been interrupted, whatever. So nobody's got time to look at your ad or read your story.
But yeah, so like in terms of, again, combining things together, like you have to see the digital usage and what are people doing at this time. Is this a good time to pitch something as well? Because they normally follow very similar trends.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. You always have to be looking for timely things. I mean, that goes for social and for PR. If there's something that's happening in the media, I think we had a client a couple months ago. Something happened, they jumped immediately on it, and then instantly after that, they had 3 interviews because this other business had failed to do something, and they stepped in. So I mean, just like continuously to monitoring what's going on in the world, that continues to help PR
Yeah.
efforts.
Yeah. Well, and it should be tied into something larger, to your point. Like, PR isn't something that you plan out for. I mean, we do 3-month timelines, and by the way, that's going to be blown up in the first week.
I think we maybe do like 1, and then it's like, I
Yeah,
can't.
yeah. Like, oh, nope, never mind. We'll have to table that because now
like,
there's something,
Yeah.
blowing up socially that we have to
I mean,
address
like
or deal
COVID.
with.
like I said, yeah, how did
Yeah.
this Q2
Yeah.
3-month timeline go?
Well, and yeah, I mean, we're dealing with that now. How is the uptick in the coronavirus cases? How is that going to affect our clients? Well, we have to be prepared. hard from a crisis standpoint to address that and to,
Yeah, we're already writing statements,
Yeah.
for people preemptively of
Yeah.
if something were to happen, let's hope it doesn't, but
Yeah.
if something were, how do they respond
Yeah.
to it?
And you have to tie that back to social, because the first place that anyone
Anybody
looks nowadays
goes.
Yep.
is on your Facebook, on your Twitter, on your website. Like,
And just a
that's what you
side
need to do.
note, make sure your business hours are updated, because people always, and your address and all of the important contact information on your Facebook, because that is a lot. People will go there probably more than they'll go to your website, especially mobile wise.
Also, a Google business. If you don't have a Google business, please set it up, because they might have auto-generated something for you. And it's 100% also, if people aren't looking on Facebook, they will be looking on Google Business. If you don't know what that is, it's when you search for a business and that little sidebar pops up on the right. We have had so many times where we've had clients who tell us, the hours are wrong there, but we've just never changed it. Google will tell you if you are mapping to somewhere and it is going to be closed before you get there.
Yeah.
So if your hours are wrong, that's bad.
Yeah, that's real bad.
Especially if somebody's trying to schedule some sort of time to meet with you for, I don't know, a story or something. If a reporter's going to be at your thing and you have the wrong address, that's a big deal.
Oh yeah, they're not very patient, as they shouldn't have to be. So yeah, so don't make really dumb mistakes. If you're gonna go for a mistake, just go big or go home. But then make sure you have PR, because we'll fix it for you.
Don't worry, we have it covered.
Yeah, we've got you. Well, I hope that we have illustrated or somehow driven the point home that digital and PR have to be besties and have to work together. We've got a lot of great content on our website. Go to 834.com. We're always available to talk. We also have a super great marketing ebook you can download. Just go to any of our social channels and find it. We also have great information on marketing automation on our website as well, because now is the time for you to be driving those leads and those sales, because every business is feeling it in some way. So, by the way, that's all tied back into digital and PR, because integrated communications.
Also, we have a blog running on that
Yes.
very soon, too. So
Yes, we
actually,
do.
It should be out, yeah.
Mhm.
By the time it's
Yeah.
published.
Woo!
Hey.
So, and if you want more horror stories on PR, we'll write another blog that we have one on there, but we'll share more because they're fun.
We'll have 5 more. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
but
have one
seriously,
coming
Google
up, yeah.
PR can't fix stupid, and it'll come up, and because PR can't fix stupid. So, yeah.
Can't fix everything.
No, can't fix everything. We can fix most things, but just not stupid. So, well, thanks everyone. Oh, our next podcast will be our 50th
Yay.
episode. We're so excited. We have zero idea what we're gonna do, but it's gonna be pretty great. It's gonna be epic. Epic.
So,
Yeah.
We know we're totally not
Booyah.
getting your hopes up or anything.
Yeah, it's going to be funny and engaging, as all of ours is, and obviously educational. This one we might say screw the educational, we're just going to put on a show. So, but either way, you should tune in, because it's going to be great. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to Happy Hour Hustle, and I shall see you on the download.